Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9 FM. I'm Paul Kretschmer. The second of 2 days of conversation with Chaplain Gordon Klingenschmitt, who was forced to leave the Navy after being found guilty of preaching Jesus' name and using Jesus' name in his prayers in public. As he now relates to us, other members of the military have also faced consequences, including some right here in New England, as he explains next.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And now the phony outrage on the left is demanding the court-martial of a new chaplain just last month. Fox News is reporting that Navy Chaplain Commander Richard Smothers is a Navy chaplain stationed in Rhode Island at Naval Station Newport, where I went to boot camp, and he is now being threatened with punishment for promoting a seminar, optional attendance after church on Sundays. The seminar is called Lead Like Jesus. Well, because he sent out an email alert announcing that the time changed and the location changed, and that got into the hands of some atheist complainers, they want to punish the chaplain for teaching and advertising an optionally attended seminar called Lead Like Jesus. And one of the biggest complainers is Mikey Weinstein with the Militant Religion Foes Foundation, and he says that Christians in the military must be punished or silenced by the government, and they cannot express their faith in Jesus Christ because that is a violation of the separation of church and state. Well, Mikey is a failed lawyer. He doesn't understand the Constitution. The Constitution protects religious expression. It doesn't ban religious expression, and that's why he's lost all 5 of the lawsuits I'm aware that he's filed against the military on these issues. We are standing up. The people are on our side. The Congress is on our side. We are getting good laws passed, even in the National Defense Authorization Act twice. They have amended it and amended federal law because of our petitions, in part, to protect religious freedom among the military, even if you are a Christian.
Would this be happening? Well, I'll rephrase that. While you were speaking of prayer in Jesus' name earlier in our conversation, the mind's eye picture of George Washington kneeling in the snow at Valley Forge came up, and I'm thinking, if this has all been happening under the U.S. Constitution, what protected people over 200 years ago, except for the fact that the country itself had not been completely organized yet, and so it was harder to protest things like this and actually get their way until or unless they were turned back?
Well, you're absolutely right, and the contrast between today and what our founding fathers intended is night and day. General George Washington, 3 days after we declared independence, now picture this, 7 July 1776, the new commander-in-chief stands in front of the United States Army, newly formed troops, and he commissions chaplains to be commissioned as officers. And he said they will be paid $33.33 per month. Every regiment will have a chaplain, and the soldiers will salute the chaplain, and they should attend to divine services. And any soldier who disrespects the chaplain will be court-martialed by order of General George Washington. That's how strongly he felt about that in his initial orders in 1776. Now, 200 years later, plus, we're doing the opposite. Now we're court-martialing the chaplains because they dare to talk about Jesus outside of church, in uniform, in public. Well, I don't think that's right. I think we've lost our edge. We're no longer defending the Constitution. Now there are some domestic enemies of the Constitution who are only defending the institution and punishing the junior chaplains.
Yeah, it does occur to me sometimes that some opponents of traditional values or even more specifically Christian values sometimes appear to be violating their oath to protect and defend the Constitution. And in some of the oaths, it also says, or maybe many of them say, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So it causes me to wonder how some people can hold office when they seem to be violating the oath that they actually swore when they were sworn into office.
That's right. I took my oath very seriously. I swore that oath every time I was promoted, and even when I was demoted voluntarily. I switched from Air Force Major to Navy Lieutenant, and I took a pay cut so I could become a chaplain. And when I raised my hand and swore that oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, I took my oath very seriously. And I don't know if you've met some of these domestic enemies of the Constitution, but they are lurking in Washington, and sometimes they bare their teeth and they show their colors, and I've swore an oath to fight against those people, maybe not with weapons. I'm a non-combatant chaplain anymore, but certainly spiritual warfare with prayer, and God is answering our prayers, and we are going to win, and the devil's going to lose, and that's why we continue to win. Every time we defend, for example, police chaplains or hospital chaplains or pastors who pray in Jesus' name, we win. The thousands of people have shown up and signed our petitions through prayinjesusname.org. Again, that's our website, prayinjesusname.org. And we fax those petitions to Congress, or we hold rallies. 1,000 people on the Virginia governor's mansion, 400 people on a city council in California, 1,200 people marched around a hospital in Florida. And the people always win because we outnumber them, and that's how we've changed 13 policies in 13 states. This is all explained in the book that I wrote, How to Liberate the World in 30 Days. You can get that on Amazon, How to Liberate the World in 30 Days. It's a step-by-step guide for you to take back your country as a Christian activist, and I hope everybody gets the book.
Would your commanding officers been satisfied if you had only prayed in Jesus' name within the sanctuary of a study with someone in the service, as long as it wasn't out in public or with the use of a microphone?
Yes. I think that was what they were trying to do, and they changed the law in 2006. Understand that way back in 1860, our then famous President Abraham Lincoln authorized chaplains to pray in Jesus' name in public, not just in church, but out in public. And why would he pick that in 1860? Because that's the first year that 3 Jewish chaplains joined the Army, and of course they were authorized that they don't have to pray in Jesus' name. So that was the policy. Let everyone have diversity. You can pray the same way your civilian denomination prays, the same way your bishop tells you to pray, not the way the commanding officer orders you to pray. That would be a violation of church and state. But in 2006, they changed that. They say, no, we're going to take power away from the bishop and only give it to the commanding officer who can punish the chaplains. And that's when I had to take a stand. I fell on my sword. I lost my career. I was honorably discharged, but I lost $1 million pension. And then I was vindicated by Congress, because so many of your listeners and people like you have signed those petitions at prayinjesusname.org that we got Congress to change the law. The Navy repented. We won. They reversed the policy, put it back to the way it was since 1860. And now chaplains can pray in Jesus' name, even in public, even in uniform, 7 days a week.
Well, there's been a great deal of interest in this whole issue up here in Connecticut, because as you may have heard of a little place down on the southeastern coast of Connecticut called Sub Base New London.
I've been there. I've been on those Navy submarines, and I've met the sailors who go to sea. And chaplains don't often go on a submarine, but every submarine squadron has a chaplain assigned to about 6 different subs, and when they're in port, they all have access to that chaplain, and I'm pleased to support their religious liberty too. Yeah,
I appreciate very much the time you made available at this time of the day to speak with me about your passion.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm so honored to be on your show. I'm honored to meet your audience, and I hope they do find a way to get a copy of my book, How to Liberate the World in 30 Days. A step-by-step guide to take back your country. You can find all that and more through the online bookstore at prayinjesusname.org.
Retired Navy Chaplain Gordon Klingenschmitt, these 2 days on the WIHS Journal. For further information, call us at 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff or management of this station. I'm Paul Kretschmer on the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from WIHS, Middletown.